to Jonathan Taylor. Huge hole. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown. Jonathan Taylor made a man miss the line of scrimmage and then runs it into pay dirt and a one-handed INT. Are you kidding me? Kenny Moore.
What a play by Nyheim Hines.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Bring the Juice Colts podcast. We have a very special guest today, CNHI Sports Indiana Executive Director and Colts beat writer and sports editor for the Herald, Bulletin. You guys have seen him on the show before. George Bremer, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, I mean, today was the day that Colts Nation and football fans around the country have been waiting for. Training camp day one. It's finally here, so everybody can kind of breathe a little sigh of relief. How did you feel being back out there after what seemed like a really long off season?
Yeah, I think Carson Wentz said something about it feeling like the first day of school again today, and it really, I think for all of us, it sort of had that feeling. Been 2 years since we've been out there in Westfield, and to see the fans back and just to hear the crowd again, it's such a different feel at practice. Last year out at the facility, everything was kind of happening in a vacuum. And so to hear people yelling at the players, both good and bad, it added a whole new energy. And I think the players responded to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure everybody was. It was a packed house there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I was pulling in the media lot, and the parking lot was full when I got there about a half hour before practice. So I had a feeling it was going to be one of those days.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So before we kind of get into a little more of the practice stuff and everything, the first thing that was mentioned, a couple things that were mentioned before practice started, Xavier Rhodes, TJ Carey, and Al-Qadim Muhammad all placed on the COVID-19 reserve list. Your initial thoughts to that?
Yeah, it's tough here at the start of practice for the team on the whole. Frank Reich's already out, as you know, and we don't know how long that's going to be. And now you've got three defensive players and really, pretty big guys. I mean, all of them are going to be part of the rotation. They're going to be, on the field quite a bit this year. So they're missing time, and you never really want to see that. I mean, it's one of those things that I think it's going to get treated the same as an injury. You just got to. They'll be back when they're back, and it does give some younger guys opportunity. I think Marvell Tell in particular took advantage of that today, seemed to come out and make some plays. And, I think he's a guy people are going to be watching anyway after the opt-out last year. That's part of this. Guys will get, a few more chances with these guys out, but you never want to see it. I mean, every team would love to have all 90 guys available for the whole month of training camp and the whole preseason. It's not realistic. It's not going to happen. But this early, I think to have three key defenders and the head coach sideline, nobody's happy about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. But and then another news on the lighter side, Braden Smith agreed to his 4-year contract extension today. 4 years, $70 million with $42 million in guaranteed. He said that he wanted to get this done before training camp really started because he wanted to not be a distraction and he wanted to just go and play football. What's your reaction to Indianapolis locking down their right tackle?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great move. I think I had talked to somebody earlier last week and they asked me, where do you think the Leonard contract's going to come in? Where do you think the Braden Smith contract come in? I said, Leonard's obviously going to set the market. We all know that. Just a matter of time till he's the highest paid off-ball linebacker in the league. I thought that Smith might come in as a top 5 guy, and he is. He's right in that mix now. Depending on how you want to break it down, he's somewhere between 2nd and 5th, depending on, you're going to go average annual value, total money. There's a lot of different ways, guarantees, a lot of different ways to kind of parse through these things. But it sent a very clear message about how this team feels about him, and rightfully so. And I think his response was on brand. This is a guy who's been very laid back. He takes everything kind of in stride. And he said his biggest feeling was really relief. It's done. And now he can, like you said, he can focus on the season. And I think it's obviously a big deal for this offense. That you've got him here for the next 4 years. I think he's a guy who Pro Bowls are in his future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's certainly what we're hoping for. And, you mentioned the Darius Leonard extension. I mean, him and his agent have both been on Twitter kind of giving hints that something was coming up very shortly. So hopefully we hear that very soon. But let's talk about Carson Wentz. I think everybody was talking about that. Let's just talk about the quarterback room in general. From what I gathered, at least from your Twitter and everybody else's Twitter that was following along, was Carson Wentz started out slow, but ended the day on a hot note, which is good to see. Jacob Eason had himself kind of a rough day, and Sam Ellinger had a couple of touchdown throws to some younger, inexperienced guys. Am I hitting the mark there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think Carson's. It was kind of understandable that first set. Things weren't really all together for the offense. It was the first time they were together, first time they faced a defense, and you could tell. I mean, Rocketson made a really nice play on the first pass of the day. I think that was a good sign from him. But he's done that before out here in practice. He's still got to bring it over to the playing field, obviously. And then after that, there were just some things where you could just see that it wasn't quite right. A drop by Mo Alley Cox, the ball was right in his hands. There was a throw that was a little more challenging to Jack Doyle, but it bounced off his hands as well. And I'm sure if you ask Jack, he's going to say he should have caught it. Could have gone either way. There was an overthrow to T.Y. Hilton I think was actually the right decision. It was thrown a little too far, but it was one of those situations. Marvell Tell was trailing the play, was in really tight coverage. And if it wasn't overthrown, it was probably going to be broken up or it's an interception. So, it was just kind of a rough early start. And then after that, you really saw Wentz kind of dial in. He was 11 of his last 15, finished 12 of 20 overall in team drills, which, that's similar to what we saw from Phillip Rivers. It's similar to what we saw from Andrew Luck over the years. Kind of try some things out early, get going at some point in the middle of practice and catch fire. We'll see what it means as things go on. But I think for day one, it was a positive sign. I think Eason's biggest thing was accuracy. The ball was just not where it needed to be consistently. He had some good throws. Everybody had some good throws, but I think it was a day he'd rather have back overall. And Ellinger, yeah, those touchdowns were in one-on-ones, but the ball was placed nicely. One of them was just a jump ball situation. Another one, Tariq Black was a guy that really, I thought, showed some flashes. Undrafted receiver. He spent some time at both Texas and Michigan. He just ran past a defender, and Ellinger hit him in stride. It was just a matter of him beating his guy completely. The other one was a jump ball, and that situation just a really well thrown, really well placed ball by Ellinger. And I think that's what you come to expect from him. He's sort of a coach on the field. We'll see how he does, when games go live. But I thought he and Kylan Granson, who had a really good day as well, the rookie tight end, they stayed on. They were the last two guys off the field. They were out there getting extra reps together. Obviously, former high school teammates. I just think those guys are showing already the work ethic they have, and it's going to pay off for this team.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the inconsistencies today, the overthrown balls and a couple of, drops here and there. And, for someone like me who's kind of, heard that story back and forth, I try to just remind myself it's first day. These guys haven't done any team-related stuff over the last few months. So, I try to not overthink it, just say it's getting used to the rhythm. I mean, is that basically it? Just kind of take it and it'll probably be better in a couple weeks once these guys get more acclimated?
Yeah, if you're still seeing the same things in week 2, I think that's when you start to wonder about it a little bit, and there might be a problem there, and something needs to be done. But this, especially day one, it's pretty normal. Defense is usually ahead early in these camps, and the offense got it going eventually. It just took them a minute, and I think. Some of that is there's a lot of guys, because of what we just talked about, there's a lot of guys out on the defensive side, but it put a lot of guys with something to prove on the field today. Mm-hmm. And I think they took advantage of it. The biggest play the whole day was from Khari Willis, who I think everyone's expecting to have a big year. He got his hand on a Jacob Eason pass and knocked it high in the air and almost back to the quarterback. I mean, it was just one of those really emphatic pass defenses, and you could see it just fired up the whole defense. They were ready to go. Again, it's hard to take a lot from these early practices, but I didn't see anything that was overly concerning on either side of the ball.
Gotcha. And I know you and a couple other people mentioned that Naheem Hines was not out there today. Says he's dealing with a hip injury. Is that something to be of concern, or is that something that is just normal?
Hey, you're breaking up a little bit. I heard Naeem Hines in there. I know he was out with a hip injury. It's not considered serious. I'm guessing that's where you're.
Yeah, that's about it. Yep.
I don't think that's going to be a long-term thing. Not a whole lot of word on Sean Davis, who was also out. No real word on how long that might be, or Julian Davenport. He also didn't go today, but it didn't sound like they were expecting long absences from anybody. And then with Darius Leonard, he's the biggest name, obviously, not out there. He was on the side running and getting a lot of work in. Looked like he's close to coming back as well. So health-wise right now, it's definitely not perfect. Like we talked about, you've got some guys out with COVID. You've got some other guys out with nagging things right now. But I don't think they're in any kind of bad shape right now in that regard.
Gotcha. Well, and you mentioned it several times how a bunch of these young wide receivers were getting a lot of chances to play today. And, Will Holden at the left tackle position was getting a lot of the first team reps from what I heard. How was it? How did it feel for you to see all these different names getting the opportunities to get a chance to play and show themselves in this regard when the older guys aren't?
Yeah, breaking up again. I think I heard something about tackle in there.
Yeah, Will Holden at left tackle getting the first team reps and talking about the young guys at wide receiver getting a few chances.
Yeah, definitely. Will Holden, I think, is a guy that we probably didn't talk enough about from a media standpoint this offseason. He looked really good. He only played a half, and it was a short period of time, but he looked really good against the Steelers when he got thrown in there last year. And Chris Ballard has said that he's a guy that they like a lot. He's definitely in that mix. And for him to get that first kind of, to get the first reps at left tackle today, I think it's a sign of something. We'll see what. It's not bad for him, that's for sure. And he took all the first team reps today. They didn't rotate. They said they're going to, down the road, but it was all him today. So I think that was encouraging.
Any other special thing that you saw from anybody? I know that defensive line, we didn't really talk about that. And I know it was not full pads and everything, but was there anyone that kind of impressed you with their agility or anything?
Yeah, it really wasn't. I don't think there's a whole lot that you can take from the trenches today in general, just because of the way things are set up here early with no pads. But, I thought it was interesting when Kwity Paye talked to us afterwards. He said it's a lot faster than he expected. And even having been there for a couple of weeks in the spring and going through some of the rookie stuff, I don't know if it caught him off guard, but it definitely was a faster tempo. And so he knows he's got to catch up there. I thought as the practice went on, and he said as the practice went on, he kind of got a little more used to it. It'll be interesting to see. I think he's one of those guys that once the pads come on, the power is such a big part of his game. I think you'll see him pop a little more. I mentioned Tell earlier. I thought he was one of the big bright points today. Tariq Black on the offensive side. Paris Campbell had a really good day. I think that's something that everybody expects if he can stay healthy. With him, the question isn't his talent, and it isn't how he fits in this offense. It's just whether or not he can avoid those freak injuries that have kind of haunted him his first couple of years here.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, one last question I'll ask you, or actually I'll have two. I remember one. What was the best play today that you saw from anyone on either side? What was it?
Yeah, there were a couple. I mentioned the Kari Willis one earlier. I think that was probably number one. But J.J. Nelson, who's one of the veteran wide receivers, who's in here competing for a spot in camp. He early on, he made a real nice adjustment on a ball that Sam Ellinger threw, and it was just coming back to the ball, beating his defender, getting his feet in, and then having to break. He caught it at the 2, and he had to get back in and get in the end zone. And I just he had a good day in general, and he's one of those guys that you want to keep an eye on now. But that play in particular, I just thought it showed kind of that veteran savvy. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out on what should be a really interesting wide receiver competition.
Awesome. Well, guys, that's it for this one, breaking down training camp day one. One last question for you, or one last thought before I let you go. This isn't necessarily training camp related, but it is kind of Colts related because it's an NFL rumor. Xavier Howard announced he wants to be traded. I know every fan base across the NFL is going crazy. Like, please go get this man. What's your thoughts on the Colts having any possibility to go into this trying to get Xavier Howard?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a need still for some more depth at corner, and that would be way more than depth. I mean, he'd be the number one corner. You'd have him and Kenny Moore and Xavier Rhodes, and you're pretty good about it. I just don't think financially they're in a place where they want to do that right now. We've seen them you saw them give the big money to Braden Smith today. We know Darius Leonard's going to get big money here before too long, and then Quentin Nelson next year is going to get another market-setting deal. So it's you never say never. I mean, been around the league long enough to know that if there's a need, there's always a possibility. But right now, I don't. It doesn't feel like something that's a natural fit for this roster.
Yeah, I know. We've been kind of saying the same thing. How crazy that would be if they could pull that off, but a lot of factors that would say no. But thank you, Mr. George Bremer, for joining me today and talking about the Colts training camp day one.
No problem. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let us know what you guys think. And as always,